This is Second Act Sessions with Stephanie Carmody, a podcast celebrating second acts in life about embracing change, questioning the status quo, and having conversations that really matter. If I've learned anything, it's that your second act is yours to define. No matter what chapter you're in, your second act can be the most powerful yet. Welcome to Second Act Sessions. Welcome back to part 2 of my conversation with Carolyn Carrara. I know you've mentioned coaching quite a bit. So explain then, when people reach out to you, like, oh my God, we tried everything. My kid is bouncing off the walls. You know, we have all these different, like from your list, they may have 10, they may have 50, who knows? Yeah. So when they come to you, you obviously explain what you do a whole session, you work with them. Yeah. What does your coaching entail? What are you providing moms and families then? How are you helping them?
Absolutely. So what I do is I work with them in 5-week increments.
5-week increments.
I work with them in 5-week increments because I find too that you can do anything for 5 weeks.
Right.
And so what we do is I start right where they are. So some parents are already kind of on the wagon of trying these different diets, which is interesting. So when they call me, they're like, I don't think it has anything to do with food because we eat organic and we eat healthy and, my child's a good eater. And then I'll go, all right, do me a favor. And please now I want you to list me everything that they eat, like in a typical day.
Yep.
And after they list it out, I'll go, 70% of this is actually wrong for your child. And they're amazed by it.
But I feel like that's great that that's why they have you. You're educating them on what they don't know, because we've all been indoctrinated by, Western society here of what to eat, this, and that. And we all have to be a little bit, in my opinion, free thinkers, especially when it comes to our children. So I think it's great that you're helping educate more moms and families, which is great.
Yeah. So I'll listen to what they're doing first. And, and then I just share, so this is what I see. And then I tell them what I would do with them. I also try to get a feel for their family dynamic, just to hear what else is going on in the home. What other children are there? What are the other symptoms? So these children can have a ton of other conditions. And again, they don't realize that they're all connected. So I want to hear those as well.
Right, exactly.
So I'll share with them, I'm going to work with you for 5 weeks. And depending where we are or where they are, I will always start with diet and detox, but then it's almost like an umbrella that goes over all of the coaching is this parenting. I teach them how to be a leader when they parent. I teach them the first couple sessions are heavily involved with removing this fear that they've had. These parents that I get I'm not kidding when I say it's almost like working with a PTSD situation.
I was just going to say, I feel like, because I've seen it personally, you almost feel like they're walking on eggshells because they're almost so nervous. Oh my God, my kid's going to have a meltdown. And they're also embarrassed because they're also worried a lot of times what all the other parents are thinking. Right. So there's a lot of shame in that and embarrassment and trying to hide. So I understand that.
And they've done so many things.
Yes.
I look back, I did the Anat Banyel brain training. I had the books on the brain balancing, cranial sacral therapy. I did homeopathy. I did these immunotherapy drops, which my husband was like, what's that $1,000 bottle of water that you're putting under Charlie's tongue? What's that doing for you? I was like, but the
thing is, but you love your children so much, you are willing to do everything and anything to get them help and to get them to stop their suffering because you can see it. Yeah. I think the other thing is, when you say you work with them for 5 weeks, what does that entail? You do have weekly calls with them, correct?
So it's a weekly call. So we pick a day at a time, same day and time every week. So maybe somebody's Wednesday at 10:30, and we do a good hour. It often stretches.
I feel like it's a lot longer normally.
No, but I just want to squeeze so much in. No,
right.
And I meet them right where they are, and I first teach them what they need to be taught for that week, for where they are. And then I set them up with an action plan. I always help them with their menu because these parents are also wanting to keep their kids happy, which we all want to do that. So I help them get a menu that's very close to the foods that their child already likes. Right. But then I also help them with, because usually I'll get, my kid will never eat that. My kid will never eat that. And then you watch as the weeks go on. And it's like, oh my God, my child's eating that. I go, I know they are. And my child didn't yell at me. I know they didn't. So
they didn't throw the food across the room.
Look at that. But yeah, and then we go into supplements because these children oftentimes
That was my next question.
Deficiencies
Yes.
and there's some core deficiencies a lot of these children have. And it's interesting with that functional doctor that we used, she tested him and then gave us a range of supplements, which we started. And then they weren't like, Charlie still wasn't doing well, but I was so used to Charlie just failing on everything that I thought, well, this is, of course, supplements.
One more thing. Right.
And I didn't realize that it was the ingredients. Like, you'd think like I'm smart enough that I would have thought like, I wonder what's in these. But one day, Charlie, I found him in the fridge, and he was swigging, which is different from the day that I found him swigging coffee creamer. This particular day, he was swigging it was like an Omega children's liquid supplement. Why is he swigging Omega-3s? Because it was delicious. It was like fruity, sugary, whatnot. And I'm like, I remember lifting the bottle and it was so much of it was gone and thinking, oh my gosh, it's this. And I would always get excited when I realized that there was a reason behind him going literally bat crazy. So,
right.
So I teach parents about supplements. But I had to go off all supplements. And that's why we use just food and his own body to get as much healing in place. I'll teach parents about using like coconut water kefir, about making bone broth, again, healing and sealing that gut. I don't always tell the parents to do the same things because not every child needs to go as deep as maybe somebody else. I'm also careful when doing something like a coconut water kefir because it's a very powerful probiotic. And then parents are like, oh my gosh, he's bedwetting now and he's angry and I'm like, yeah, you're going too hard and too fast. It's sending him into a detox too quickly. So I prefer to just lighten the digestive load with regular food before we go into those other areas.
So really quick then, when you mentioned supplements, so is that something then you're telling your clients to go and get blood tests or something like that to see what deficiencies are? Or do you already know which supplements children like this need and you recommend certain ones already regardless?
More the latter. Of course, a parent can. I love it when a parent comes back with their test. Sometimes parents will send me like their oath test, the results, and I can see because you can see the neurotransmitters and what's happening. But you always have to remember because there's still a snapshot in time. All of these, these urine tests and stuff, but etc. But so what I'll tell parents to do when it comes to supplements, I'll say to them first, let's get enough healing going for about a month right now. Because you have to remember that I'm getting the kids that have a lot of behaviors. I'm not just getting mild Sally over here. I get the ones that have like, you don't understand. She's like scratching her hair out and she's punching me and she's spitting on her brother. And I get the crazy stuff and it's okay. So I say, let's get at least a month where we start healing and sealing the gut. And the reason is that I want their body to be able to absorb the supplement.
Right. Because if you have a leaky gut, it's just going to go right out. It's not going to get absorbed. I had leaky gut back in the day. So I know all of this from an adult level, which is so ironic that now I'm talking about children's health because it's all connected. And I think I wouldn't have those issues had someone when I was younger helped me with some of the maybe behavior or anxiety that I had. Because I have had anxiety my entire life as well. So I'm fascinated by all this because I'm learning so much even about myself at 49.
Oh, you take all that food out, like you take out the stuff that's so inflammatory and you watch as like you're not crazy biatch anymore.
Well, I even notice with my hands, if I eat I also have like celiac. I'm on the borderline for celiac. So I notice if I happen to eat too much gluten or too much really not great carbs, like it's not, say it's normally I only ever eat sourdough. So if I notice if I eat too much like gluten, my hands will be really sore. They almost feel arthritic.
So there's the inflammation.
They're inflamed. Yes, exactly.
I love that you just mentioned that. Because I want parents, because there's a lot of people who will never coach or do, and if I can be like that, another needle in the haystack like that, I
little soundbite.
So the idea of inflammation and using our body has primary pathways and secondary pathways to, detox ourselves naturally. So primary pathways are basically peeing and pooping and sweating. Great. So what you take in, if you can get it out in that pathway, that's perfect. Then what starts happening when the level of toxins within your body rise and can't all be eliminated in that way. They're going to move to secondary pathways. What are secondary pathways? Eyes, ears, nose, mouth, skin. So you'll see these children. I mentioned earlier that one of the things that Charlie had going on was chronic congestion, so which meant he was always on antibiotics too. So, but I didn't know that his congestion was inflammation. So because I didn't know how to feed him. And so it was one big cycle that he was constantly going through. But so these children, if they can't rid themselves of their normal toxins through a primary pathway, they'll move to secondary, right? That's why a lot of these kids that when I'm talking to them, their mom will say, oh, she's had her adenoids removed or her tonsils removed, or eczema, psoriasis, body odor, all of that. Okay. Now, once they can't do that, you can't be excreted. What does the body do with all those toxins? Well, it just reabsorbs them.
It starts attacking your body.
Yeah. So
right?
where do toxins live? In fat. So the brain is more than 2/3 fat. So now you've got this kid walking around like big, full bucket, and they're going to manifest, and they manifest in different ways. Inflamed brain, like they might be very angry. They might be, that's why the ODD, as I jump right to that, I still have an older son. I have a son, though, a few years older than Charlie. And when Charlie was significantly healed, I could finally turn my sights on his brother.
Right.
I just made his brother tread water. I'm like, you're really mean, but I don't have time for you.
No, I get it. I've been the same way. I even did that with my dogs. When I first got my second dog, my first dog ended up getting cancer. So I was so immersed in caring for him that my puppy, I felt like I neglected him. I felt bad, but you have to you can only do one thing at a time. So you have to go to the most, who's drowning. Yep. Exactly.
So Charlie finally was like doing really great. And I thought, maybe I should turn my sights over here. And I always figured, he's got a strong personality. I read every book you could think of, The Explosive Child, the This Child, the 1, 2, 3, Get Happy, all of it. None of it worked. And it was, I'm making light of it right now, but it's really hard to have a child that, although you love them, it's hard to like them and their siblings not liking them. And
no, it affects the whole family.
And watching this like Jekyll and Hyde situation.
Yes.
And so you would have described this child as what we call ODD. And one of the
really quick, what does ODD stand for again, in case anyone doesn't know?
Oppositional defiance disorder.
And what is that exactly?
Really angry and ragey and mean.
Okay.
And defiant. Nasty. Okay.
Like stubborn, putting their foot down, nasty. I'm not doing it. Like,
that's putting it mildly. That would be a nice ODD. So
got it.
It's to the point where you really don't like your own child because it feels like there's no rhyme or reason. So you're walking on eggshells a lot of the time.
Yes.
So, so when I got Charlie out of his danger zone and he's starting to heal consistently, I started to look into obviously like, well, maybe it's the food for my other child. Maybe we should do that. But every time I tried something like that with this child, because he was so angry and mean, I felt like I didn't have the leverage to get him to do this. Right. And this is what I get a lot of parents who tell me, like, you don't understand. My kid's 12 or he's 14. He's never going to do it. And I'm like, haha. Yes, he will. I went through it. I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. But that being said is this child was having such a tough time. So I thought, let me do some research. Well, I couldn't find any research on there being food studies on ODD and all of that. And I thought, how do I find research on angry guys and they change their food? So I remember waking up one morning like, prison. So I went and looked for studies.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had such a field day and it was great. And do you know every single study I found that dealt with angry inmates, or not just angry, but inmates and behavioral changes when they did anything to their food. And it wasn't just, it only worked where they removed sugar, or it only worked where they added in fruits and vegetables. It worked everywhere to completely change the climate of the prison and the men. You had one study that brought, the suicidal ideation, they were really doing a thorough study here. It went from 70% down to 10%. That was just one thing when they changed their food. The anger, the fighting, the infighting. So I thought that was my research. And I thought, all right, I need to do this to my other son. And, but again, I still had that moment of thinking, because this is when I cared about their happiness. I always tell parents, I'm like, I know you want your kid to be happy right now, but you want to heal them.
Yeah, that's more
might be a
important.
little angry with you right now when you try to put your foot down about this.
Right.
But in the end, they'll thank you. So that being said, I did notice something else that was happening to that particular son, which gave me leverage. He started to have little facial tics and wrist tics, and he was losing this beautiful singing voice that he had. So with that, I just said one day, I'm like, that's it.
We're going to do the same thing that we did for Charlie.
And
and then you saw positive results, I'm assuming.
Oh my gosh, everything's done.
How long was that for him? Because he was a different age.
Within a week of that, I saw him drastically change, where he was like calmer, almost weirdly. Like I thought he was sick. You know, when you have like a child and they start napping a lot or something, you're like, you must have a fever. And that started progressing. The thing that didn't go quickly though, and I've watched this in a lot of people, when a child presents with tics. So for him, it was blinking, and it was this thing, and there was a throat clearing. There's a lot of things he was doing. The tics went away last. The arm thing, it took months. But I knew because I saw the difference in his behaviors that something was working. So I knew that the rest of it would eventually fall away.
Right. It's just going to take time and in stages.
And it did. And within months, it still took it was long months. And that child eats everything. He doesn't have any of those tics. Sometimes he eats too much of everything, like the other one. But yeah, and he's a senior in high school. He's graduating. He wants to go to school to be an engineer. He's like
amazing,
thriving.
Amazing. So then let's go back then to the supplements. So what are some of the core supplements you recommend?
Sure.
I mean, I wouldn't say every parent, but any parent potentially that works with you or is even listening now, like,
absolutely.
And maybe can't afford to work with you, but want to start somewhere.
Absolutely. And I've really made myself affordable, actually. So I have. And I really have. So that's fun because I want more parents to be able to work with me. That being said, so I look at the core supplements. So that'd be like magnesium glycinate, B6. That's my number one.
Okay. I take that, by the way.
Yeah. And the B6 is because it's like the vehicle for a greater absorption for the magnesium. And I say magnesium glycinate on purpose because there's other magnesiums. There's like magnesium citrate and oxide. Those have laxative effects. So magnesium glycinate is also the form of magnesium that is used in a lot of studies. If you go to the NIH and you look at studies versus placebo and Ritalin, that they'll have excellent results there. Magnesium is responsible for over 300 biochemical processes in the body, like muscles, nerves, sleep, you name it. So, I mean, they call it the miracle mineral. So, and it did so much for Charlie. The first supplement I came back to after he had significant healing in his gut was just magnesium glycinate. And what I loved about what I saw with that is that I really waited for months to start adding the other supplements, which I'll name in a second. All of a sudden, like 3 months in from that, I'll never forget this. We were at like a graduation party and one of my kids says, "Mom, Charlie's throwing the football with Will." I'm like, "What?" Like Charlie would never have done that. He wouldn't have been able to catch it. He wouldn't have been able to track that. He certainly wouldn't do it for fun. And here we are again, like just at a picnic, and I'm crying because my kid and then
is being a kid, being a normal everyday kid.
Yeah. And then it's like another month later, he could never ride a bike. He just didn't have it. He couldn't figure it out.
And all that.
And another month later, I thought, wait, if he could throw the ball, there was already so much changing. I'm like, let's go back to it again. And I didn't tell my family. And we just worked at it for like 5 days, maybe. And then I made my family come out on the front porch. And I'm like, all right, Charlie. And he just starts riding his bike from one end of the property to the other. And we're all like, no way.
That's like amazing.
Rode a bike. And then 2 months later, a next one was, he couldn't tie his shoes. 10 years old, couldn't tie his shoes. Like he just couldn't get it. And I remember us going for his school shoes. He was entering the 3rd grade, which really he was entering the 4th because I had held him back in kindergarten. Couldn't tie his shoes. And we go to get the shoes and there wasn't a great selection for Velcro. And I said, well, do you want to just tie your shoes? Like I've done with other ones of my children. Like, let's just learn it right now in the store. Right. And we were in like Kohl's, I remember. And I sat there and I showed him how to do it. And he did it. And now I'm crying in Kohl's. I'm like, wait, what? And so So these are the little things that you don't realize are happening behind the scenes. So anyway, that's magnesium. And that was nothing else but his magnesium glycinate on top of his gut that had been healing.
Right, exactly. With the diets and what you say to whatever. So then you're helping parents once a week, coaching them, helping them with the diet. And even also, I feel like talking them off the ledge and being like, in a lot of ways, like a therapist to them to navigate the child and how it affects the other siblings and even with husbands or wives. I mean, I know it really does take a toll on families.
Yeah, there's a lot of dynamics at play. I know for me, like there was a period of time. I wish I could say, it was like 6 months, but it wasn't. It was probably 6 years. I mean, really, it was bad. Wow. My husband could walk past me. I'd be like, oh,
right.
I hate him. I mean, I didn't mean it, but I just wanted somebody to help me. Like, why don't you get it? Why aren't you helping? Why aren't you going to these talks? And so one
it's all on your shoulders.
No, I say to parents now, I'm the first one to go. I'm right in their husband's corner. I go, listen, they're just as scared as you are.
Yeah.
They have a different, like, they're created
wired
differently. They are a hunter-gatherer. You are a nurturer. And you're going to stick this out and it's going to be okay. And you're going to tell them what to feed the child. It's going to be okay. But
you'll all get on the same page eventually. And you will, what I think is like, to your point, is like celebrating those little wins, whether it's, oh my gosh, my child just ate a hamburger, or do you know what I mean? Like, cause I know a lot of children have, issues with sensory issues with food even. And that's part of the whole issue.
That's
and like I said, every child's different.
They'll never eat like this food that you talk about. I'm like, yeah, they actually will. Trust me, they actually will. And they do.
They will.
Because
they will.
The brain inflammation starts falling away, which means the food sensitivities fall away.
Right. Yeah. So then after 5 weeks, are you saying, okay, we're done. You're on your own. You got this.
You're on your own. No, I'm just kidding.
Do people sign up for another 5 weeks and kind of navigate what works best for them?
Some will do like a few series of 5. I used to only do 3-month coaching. That's all I did. Only this past, maybe in the last 6 months, did I switch it out to 5 weeks because I thought that might lower this commitment fear.
Right.
For a parent.
And commitment, and also I think financial commitment, food commitment. It's a whole, it really is a true commitment and investment in your child.
Yeah, it is. And then when they start to learn all the concepts and they realize, like, wait a second, I have a child now that I'm not going to therapies and doctors and they get off their meds. Like, it's not really It's not, it's a value that is, I think, important. And I coach somebody as if they were myself years ago. Like, what did I need? What did I need? So sometimes it's it's always a lot of encouragement, but oftentimes it's training their lens to see. Sometimes it's teaching them the science behind the detox. It's teaching what the different supplements do for their body. And it's bringing it all together. And it's just holding their hand until they can walk it on their own. And then sometimes they might say, oh, you know what? I'm going to meet with you just every other week now, or whatever they want.
Right.
So
you're flexible, which is great. Yeah. So then I think one thing that you've mentioned before, as I've spoken to many times, is that's so great. Okay, you get the diet under control, and that's kind of much better, and they're getting healed. And then I think something that you always talk about is about rewiring that child's brain now, right? Because they only thought they were this way, and now you need to show them, no, you're okay. But that's also twofold, because not only then are you helping the child rewire and think differently and kind of train their brain to not have that anxiety or not worry about that anymore. You also then help the moms rewire their brain in a lot of ways, because they're always like on pins and needles, like you said, and worried and anxious, and you're helping them as well. Can you explain both of those scenarios?
Yeah, sure. It kind of goes back to that idea of like, live with joy now, right?
Right.
Easier
there you go.
said than done, because when you're in it, the throes in it, you are so tied to your child's behaviors. And so you wake up in the day, and as soon as your child acts in a way that you've been trying to get them not to act anymore, as soon as they do it, or they even show shades of it, you're already go, you forget how to even be present with them. And you run this household on chaos and fear. And
you can't enjoy your child, let alone be present. You can't enjoy any time with them because you're worried. Are they going to eat? Are they going to act up? If I have a friend over, are they going to have a meltdown? It's a lot of what ifs.
Yes. So what I'll do with parents early on is I have a really frank conversation with them, and I'll say, let's call the child Johnny. And I'll say, I want you to be really open with me and just tell me, like, so what do you think about Johnny? But I need you to be like a 5-year-old raw, I'm scared kind of mom. And so they will say things like, I'm afraid Johnny's not going to be okay. And so I'm like, okay, so the thought is Johnny's not going to be okay. What else you got? Well, I just feel like he's kind of annoying, and I feel like he's not going to have any friends. I'm like, Johnny's going to have no friends. Right. And I just feel, and they start, and so I get right to the core. And when you're finished, you usually have about 6 statements. Johnny's a loser. And I'm not kidding you. Like, this is like underneath it. Nobody likes Johnny. Johnny's mean, or Johnny can't control himself. Johnny's never going to get a job. Johnny's not going to have a good life. And they're really powerful.
Your brain can take you to those dark places all the time. I do it just in my life. I don't have children. You know what I mean? Like, I get it.
Random Saturday, we can do it. And
exactly.
So I'm like, so now you're stuck there. So no matter what your child does, even if they behave well, you're just like waiting because you have come from this belief that he's not going to be okay. He's not going to be okay. He's not going to be okay. He's not going to have friends. He's not going to have friends. Is he talking to that girl? Is he talking to her? So what I do is I say, okay, let's get those fears down. Let's write them down. Let's write what you're really thinking. Now let's come over here. Let's talk about this. What do you wish you could think? And so maybe it's just, I say, can we just get a more neutral thought than Johnny has no friends? What's more neutral? And I'll ask questions like, does anybody like Johnny? And I'll go, well, he actually has this one friend, blah, 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 that does come over. I'm like, oh, okay. I go, what about any family members? She goes, well, he has a cousin. Okay, good. I'll go, is he ever nice to you? And it sounds like silly questions to ask. Yeah. But then the mom will go, well, yeah, when we're playing Legos, actually, and then the stories start coming, well, and the other day he did this and he did that. So I want the mom to hear it. I need her brain to hear her own evidence that, wait a minute. Yeah. So Johnny has the makings of being a friend, of being okay. I'll say things like, look at Johnny now, look at him a year ago. Is there anything he can do today that he couldn't do a year ago? Oh, well, yeah, well, what? And I make her hear that he can do that. I go, oh, so his brain works. Like I go to the really simple stuff because I need to get them on a different path to already go, wait a second.
And to think differently because they're already in the negative space that everything's negative.
Yes.
And when you're already there, it's hard to switch into the positive.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right. So there's this work that if I can't get them to say to themselves, Johnny's going to be great, I can get them to say, Johnny is kind. Johnny is obedient. And maybe Johnny has ODD and he's so not obedient. I'm going like this because I'm imagining when I write notes, I'll be over here on the left page, like bad Johnny, the truth Johnny. So, and I get people to just come into agreement with the truth of Johnny. But so I'll sometimes just simply say to a parent, well, have you ever been angry? And they'll be like, yeah. I go, oh, so, okay. So even though Johnny's angry 90% of the time, what? But he's nice 10% of the time. Well, okay. So let's work with that. And so I just get them to change their lens about Johnny because when we get that fear gone, then we have a different perspective. And then you were talking about how we get Johnny to change his perspective.
Right. Exactly. Because it's part of the healing.
Yeah. We act out of how we believe ourselves to be, and if you tell Johnny for 8, 10, 12 years that he's lazy and he's mean and he's nasty, then even if he doesn't say it, he already thinks it. And so it's how he behaves. And so I teach parents a way of noticing, can you leverage what he does right? And it's almost sounds silly at times the way I have to teach a parent, but I'm like, look in, so if your child walked past another child and didn't slap him upside the head and that first child said stole their video game, that's a huge win that your child, that Johnny didn't react like that. But do you say anything? Or are you just so grateful that he didn't explode? So we have to get, and this is the important part, this is the point that I want to make with this, we need there to be a motivation for these kids to want to act this way. I often call it praise the boring. Because we all want our kids not to be boring per se, but in this realm, this example, we do like it when our kids can just sit there. Can you just eat? Can you just be this? I'll have parents be like, can you just be normal? But these high intensity children, they always have an itch to be scratched. So if you're not going to scratch it in calling out to them and speaking life over them, I'll give you an example. I used it today on somebody. Her daughter had her daughter asked what they were having for breakfast. And this mom said, we're having French toast. And she was ready for the daughter to come back and be like, oh, I wanted waffles.
She's almost bracing herself because she knows historically that would have been a meltdown, a temper tantrum, you name it, argument.
And this mom has seen so much healing. But again, when we talk about that PTSD, there's still...
It's in both of you.
So this child said, so the child asks, what are we having? The mom knew the child wanted waffles. And the mom says, we're having French toast because I give them a great recipe. You use like Deland bread. It's made from millet. You can still soak in an egg, a little bit of like real maple syrup. You're good. You got French toast. But I digress. I just made that about me. So
it's okay.
Because I got such a great idea. No. So
but to their point, I think it's great that you are, in addition to coaching and whatnot, you are giving people recipes as well, which is helpful. Yeah. Instead of having them to have to hunt and search on their own, you're giving them some tools. That's great.
Much of the guesswork out of the process so they can just be like, okay, let me walk with you. Let's pull you out of it. So I said to the mom, when your daughter, so the daughter says, what are we having? Mom says French toast. She knows the daughter wants waffles. And the daughter goes,
racing.
Oh, okay. And walked away. And I said, so I'm going to use that. Did you say anything to her when that happened? And she's like, no. And I'll go, and I use this analogy of bookends and books. So if you have a bookend and you don't have the other bookend, the books can still fall. So I call the two bookends like the no and the yes. It's the discipline and the praise. And so parents, a lot of times when they start listening to the way that I teach them, for some reason, they hear a lot about the no and this firmness, this firm love, this consequence, but done with love and done every time and consistent. And they get really good at that. But then they don't understand, like, but I don't really see a huge change, over here. I'm like, well, where's the yes bookend? Where's you speaking life? You want them to act boring, but you don't give them incentive to do that. So using the example of the French toast versus the waffles, when the child said, oh, okay, I would have stopped the world. And I would have said, we'll pretend her name is Johnny too. I'll use Johnny for everything. And, and as that child goes to walk away, you go, oh, Johnny, can you come back here? Yeah. I just have to tell you something.
Yeah.
I have to compliment you right now. And after a while, as soon as you say, I have to tell you something, you want them to already know you're about to compliment them. You want
something positive,
right? Because they know it's coming. That's how relentless you'll be. So now the kid says, what? Johnny says, what? And you say, I just saw something and I need to call it out. I said to you, we were having French toast and I know you wanted waffles. Do you know how kind it was of you that you just went with that? And I got to tell you, the self-control that you didn't get upset with me, like you have incredible self-control. So this is how long a compliment sounds. You have incredible self-control. And I just went like, that was just so kind. So now she heard that she's kind and she has self-control. Right. And we do it. And we do it all the time. We find ways all the time. So they start to think, well, and at some point, there's a tipping point. And she makes the choice to choose the self-control and choose to become, because that's who she is. Because mom doesn't stop letting her know that.
Right. I love that. So I think in addition to you're really helping parents parent, which is so helpful because they only know a certain way and it's like fight or flight, so to speak. Right. And they're in this constant like whatever. So I think it's so great that you're helping them navigate this with, coaching, with the food, with the supplements, but also like almost in a way kind of helping them be better parents now to these children who are suffering but are recovering.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Because the siblings, they'll sometimes say, it's funny. Maybe the sibling also has a something, something. I use the term something, something. They don't say something, something. They say, maybe there's something wrong with that one too. I go, no. There's only one. And I said this to a mom today. I go, listen, there's just one common denominator right now. And it's you. So I'm very proud of that. I'm like, but it is. So I go, and that's so great because it shows you, it means you have the control.
Yes. And I think that by your way of coaching and helping parents parent, you were really empowering them and kind of giving them back their control and their sort of confidence of like, you know what, I am a good parent. I know what I'm doing, right? Because I think a lot of these parents are so upset. They're so upset for their child. They're worried about X, Y, and Z on the child, but then they in turn beat themselves up. Yes. What am I doing wrong? I'm a horrible parent. Why can't I control this kid? And they compare themselves to everyone else because you only see a glimpse of what other people are experiencing. You're not in their home with them. You don't know. I guarantee you 8 out of these 10 kids that, are near you all have some some issue of some sort. You just don't know about it. They all have a little something, something. So, okay. So I think this is like phenomenal. I love that you're sharing all of this. So a couple last questions. I wanted to discuss your faith because I know you are also a woman of faith, as am I. Yeah. And I wanted you just to briefly share, how has God really played a role in your journey through all this?
Oh, yeah, I am. So I'm a proud Christian. I love Jesus. No, honestly, I don't know where I'd be. Mm-hmm. I don't know where I'd be on so many nights when it just was like me and my tears and these questions. And then all these, like, you listened so patiently to my long story, but of the different therapies and the this and the reading and the searching and going, what is it all like? Is this even going to work? And I would just sometimes go, God, can you just put the next answer in front of me?
Yes,
the next right action.
Yep. The next step, the next person who is going to help. Right.
Yes. And I think because when you have such a deep faith, that even though it can feel so overwhelming and so confusing, you can, like, I'll cling to promises like Jeremiah 29:11 that says that he has good plans for my son, Charlie. Mm-hmm. Plans to prosper him and not to harm him, plans for a future. And so I'm claiming that. I'm claiming that promise. And so I love that, that I never feel alone in any of this.
Right.
And I truly believe that the Lord orchestrates my work, my business. He literally put a supplement business in my hands. And I never set out to have a supplement company. Right. And I really set out just to help my own son, right? That's what we're all doing. We kind of start inward. Yes. And then our mess becomes our message. And and I really just was trying to find something just that was palatable and clean, a magnesium glycinate that could be palatable and clean for my own child. And I was trying to figure out, can we make it into a gummy? Can we make it into a chewable? But the cleanest gummy and the cleanest chewable. Right. And then when you realize, okay, strip away everything, it's actually the best formula that you could have. And so that's what I have this. It's called You and Yours because it's for families, and we have like magnesium glycinate, and we have iron, and we just launched a multivitamin. We're launching a B complex. But the point is that when you go back to like saying like, are you a woman of faith? I don't look at this like, oh, look how great I am. I came up with a supplement and now I've got this business. No, I literally feel like I'm just doing his work.
Exactly.
And if other families can be helped by this, amen. And
that's exactly it. And I think God only gives you what you can handle. He knew obviously you could handle Charlie and that you had a purpose, and Charlie has a purpose. And I think it's so beautiful that through all those trials and tribulations, God is blessing you, and you are in turn blessing other families and helping other children. Yeah. It's going to make me cry. But that's so beautiful.
Right? Because you've seen it in somebody that I've coached that and it's like you watch this transformation happen. And the way I look at it is like, if I could just get one family back on track, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I literally feel like I partner with the Lord. I'm like, God, look what we just did. We got another one.
Right.
You know?
I think the bottom line is, for any parent suffering or dealing with a child who has any of these symptoms, has tried everything or doesn't even know where to begin, there is hope. You're not alone. First of all, God is always there. Just ask for help. Draw near to God. He will draw near to you. He's always there, whether you believe in him or not. Sometimes you'll be put through things that you need God, and there's no one else left. And trust me, God will always be there. But then there's people such as yourself. And so where can people find you? Obviously, would you say the best spot to find you is on your website, but are you also on social and all of that? Because I want to make sure people know.
I'm going to be some big presence on social. Right now, I'm doing so I'm in Facebook.
Okay, you're in Facebook, right? Because you have a Facebook group, right? Okay.
And so I have a couple of things that I do. I consider it almost like community service where, so my website, Live with Joy Now, that's where I first put my story. But if you wanted to join my Facebook group, it's called Take Control of ADHD Now. And we have moms in there that are walking the same journey, whether they have a child with ODD, ASD, ADHD, anxiety, they're in there.
Even on the spectrum, even if maybe they have children who have autism and autistic, like that, even though it just says ADHD, it's not limited to just ADHD.
I look at it as all the same root cause. So
I agree. It's all kind of on the spectrum.
Yeah.
It's all this root cause. Yeah.
So
Okay.
the website, they can find me there. That's Live with Joy Now.
Yep.
And livewithjoynow.com. And then I will tell you, I wanted to Live with Joy back then, and it was taken. And so I had to do Live with Joy Now. And I thought that was funny. And I'm like, wait, that's even better. Because do it right now. Don't wait.
Yes.
Anyway.
Exactly. Because right now when you're in it, you can still find joy and find those moments where your child is thriving. And it may be a small little win, but that's a win. And focus on that 10%. Don't harp on and focus just on the 90% that's bad. Right? I think it's a way of changing your thinking too for yourself and your child.
This morning when I was on a call with somebody and she was sharing what was going on, and then she was sharing some behaviors, and I said, oh, those are tics, like some body movements, etc. And she was like, wow, I was excited because she wasn't having a meltdown. They had to celebrate. She gave her pizza. Right. And it's fine. And I go, oh yeah, so that's just that coming out of her body. Just give her a few days, let her detox, give her more water. Let's go. And she's like, oh my gosh, if I didn't bring that up and you didn't say anything, I would have been just thinking to myself, why is my daughter now doing all this weird stuff? And I'm like, So that's what I love about coaching. Like, no, you're okay. You're doing the right thing. You're going ahead.
Right. Right. Awesome.
I feel like I lost my train of thought when I talked about that. What were we talking about?
Oh, sorry. I have a horrible train of thought too.
I got excited for that one little story. But no,
worries.
I just love how, we were talking about how you could find me. But so so the website. So then I have that
and Facebook group.
Take Control of ADHD Now. And what I do in there is I put a ton of videos that I have, like a YouTube channel. It's called Carolyn Carrara. Hold on. - Take Control of ADHD. No, it's not that. It's Carolyn Carrara - Live with Joy Now - ADHD Recovery. I don't know. Just go to YouTube. I think if you put my name in, maybe you'll find me. But
yeah, and I'll link it when this episode airs. I'll make sure I link everything that they can find you.
And I really, although we did talk about the coaching a lot, if instead somebody's watching this, I didn't have the luxury of a coach. I didn't know how to find
it on your own
like that. But I want them to know too, like maybe today you heard something that you went, oh my God, that's the next piece of the puzzle.
Right.
Then we've done our work.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's key because I don't think there's one solve for every child. I think there are a variety of different things you need to do or find the ones that work for your child. And I will say this connection between the gut and the brain and knowing its inflammation and preventing all of that by not adding more foods that are causing it is certainly one big piece of that puzzle.
That's right.
And maybe it heals your child or maybe that coincides with something else, whatever else you want to do. But I think people need to understand that there's so many people out there like yourself that have the tools and are able to help. And your child is not going to be like this forever. And your child does not need to be on medication forever. And like, there's so many other healthy, holistic, alternative ways of healing. And I really appreciate you for going through all this personally and then coming out the other end and creating a program to help others. Cause I just think it's amazing what you do. And I can't thank you enough for coming on today and sharing your story. I just really, I'm so impressed with all that you do. And I really hope our listeners, reach out to her if you have any child in need, no matter what age, because any child or even teenager or even adult can get some relief.
18-year-old who found me and it was a really severe case. And when I listened, I thought, okay. I'm not even afraid anymore when I hear some of the things that I hear. And this young man had been, asked to leave a couple of schools, and it was very, very scary for them. And I was like, I'm ready. And then she just at the end said, okay, but he has Down syndrome. I said, oh, good. Okay. I'm not afraid. I've never worked with someone with Down syndrome, but everything else you tell me, I know what that is. I know what oppositional defiant disorder. I know what works. And that mom, the healing that took place in her son.
Wow.
He couldn't even go. He hadn't been to church in 10 years since he was 8 years old. He goes back to church. He now has a job. He goes on field trips with his school. They had a complete turnaround.
Right.
And that was something at age 18.
How long did that take? How long would you say that she started seeing that change?
Oh my gosh. I know we started working together May of 2023. I have an email from then 1 month later, because she sent me the email. She sent an email to her son's mental health team because she wanted to decrease his medication. It was like an antipsychotic, and it was actually an anti-schizophrenic. And so not anti-schizophrenic, it was a medication for schizophrenia. Right. Even though that was not his issue, it was something that was like their last thing they had been trying. So she needed to get that increase, and then she started working with me, etc. Okay. And so she was seeing such changes in her son over the month that she emailed the medical team. And when she finished it, after the back and forth, she said, I thought you'd like to be a fly on the wall of what I've spoken about you to my son's medical team. So she said it was a beautiful testimony. And I know for a fact that was 1 month in.
Wow.
And
that's
3
amazing.
months later, she sent me a picture of him holding an infant, because the whole reason she got in touch with me is because he was from a very big family, and she had a daughter who got married. They were now living in the home, the couple, and she was 7 months pregnant, and they were actually afraid for the new baby. They were afraid that her son might seriously harm the baby without wanting to, but because he had no impulse control. And he was a big kid. And so there's a picture of him holding the baby. Their family is completely restored. And she came and visited from the state of Washington. They visited Florida recently, and I got to meet them.
Oh, that's right. I remember you mentioning that. Yes. That was a family. Yes. Oh, wow. And that's beautiful. Came in and
we were just crying and hugging, and I didn't know who she was because we always take our phones, our calls, by phone. So I kind of knew what she looked like. She had sent me pictures before of her and her son. And so, but
that's beautiful.
And her husband
the healing
came too. So her husband and me and my husband got to have lunch together, and her husband shared, they had just literally gone on a cruise, which is why they were in our area. And the husband with tears in his eyes, he's like, this is the first vacation we've taken together in our entire marriage. Because now people will come and help watch their child. Yeah. Even though he's 18, but because he has Down syndrome, he still needs some watching.
You still need some supervision, right?
Yeah, wow. But now he's just enjoyable. It's not.
Well, these stories are so amazing, Carolyn. Anyway. I'm so glad that you are giving hope to so many families.
Yes, there's so much hope.
And the bottom line is you can live with joy now in any situation that you're in. So thank you again so much.
You're so welcome.
I know we'll keep in touch and we'll be chatting quite a bit. But everyone else, thank you for listening, and God bless, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe to Second Act Sessions on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you tune in. And if today's episode resonated with you, consider leaving a review. It helps more than you know and makes it easier for others to find these stories and start their own second act.